My name's Ron Rooney. I've worked on assessment for learning in the county of Durham for 7 years now. We're going to have a look at the Meadows School today, which is an EBD school. Now, the Meadows and I have been working together for 7 years. I wanted you to see this school because here is a school which has it as its underlying philosophy. And I think they've got a tale to tell because they're learning something which other schools which are just starting that process would benefit from knowing. And the Meadows.
The Meadows opened in 1999. George Harris has been head teacher from the word go and had to roll up his sleeves to get things underway.
We had to develop very rapidly. We were given a school. We opened under really difficult circumstances for the LEA. We're a school for kids who've got social, emotional and behavioural difficulties, but each of them has attendant learning difficulties. They're used to failing in the classroom, so think very little of themselves. But you can't afford to be a nice, cosy little school where the kids are not being pressured to do any learning. So it's really important that we actually develop basic and key skills. We have two curriculum aims. One is to develop social skills, because the youngsters haven't got any, and the other one is to develop key and basic skills. It's as simple as that.
Assessment for learning at the Meadows all springs from clear learning objectives. Sean Inghams taking Year 7 for ICT.
Well done, Simon. Excellent. So by the end of this lesson, we'll have a PowerPoint presentation on whatever you choose to do. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Right, let's talk a little bit about PowerPoint presentations. Yeah?
The Year 7 children have been used to disruption and even exclusion. Keeping their attention is really hard work, at least until they're on the computers.
So you know what to do, and you need to go now and open PowerPoint presentation and start. Yeah? Good, lads. Have you used Word Art, yeah?
Oh, yeah, I've used Word Art. Looks like I'm going to put it there like that, so it looks like a toilet in the road.
Brilliant, that looks like absolutely fantastic. Right.
Once they're up and running, they're kept on task by a very explicit framework describing the skills they need to master.
This one here, yeah. I can save the information, yeah, and you can retrieve it. Well, I call it the assessment grid, but it's a self-assessment where they're actually working towards a level, but I've taken the level descriptors and broken them down so they understand them. And I've put them into 3 different sections as well. But the idea is to highlight where they're at the time, and the next step is there on the sheet for them to reach. So every time they come back and carry on with the work, they can then highlight more and more and more. If they find it difficult, we can take breath out, we can learn the ICT that they need to learn, and then they can progress and get higher and higher. In fact, no, leave it like that, and then if we've got time, you can come back. Sorry. Hey?
I'm at level 3.
What? Level 3? Wow, you're working in level 3, that's brilliant. So what do you have to do now to get better? I can use different fonts and font sizes. That's easy, you'll be able to do that next lesson, no problem.
Level 3.
AFL is embedded throughout the school now, but they hadn't started out with it at the beginning. 1 year after opening came the first Ofsted. Deputy Sue Cook took it on the chin.
George and I, the head teacher and myself, we thought we were doing really well. New kids, new staff, setting up a school, and in the middle of all this, teaching and learning, which we thought we were doing pretty okay on, gets a slamming. And it was at that point we asked the authority for some support in terms of what can we do about our teaching and learning. It wasn't an area of strength that either of us felt we had in terms of what was going on outside in the big wide world. Assessment for learning was becoming a current thing at the time because of the Black and Williams research inside the black box, beyond the black box. And it was absolutely groundbreaking, new research done by real teachers with really hard evidence of the results.
We started with looking at what Black and Williams were saying. We tried to make sense of that in the context of this school. We trialled things. Many of those things didn't work. We didn't then abandon it. What happened then is that we came back, and year on year we've refocused on what assessment for learning means, but it's been a learning experience all this time.
It's the culture of the school now, a common way of working. Actually means when youngsters come into the classroom, although it's a different subject area, they're getting a familiar framework.
So, what do we already know about Dracula?
Year 10 need to be really clear about the learning objective before they begin. Teacher Faye Murray takes time to spell it out.
This is your learning objective, which is our skill today. Colleen, read it out for me, please.
What?
Learning objective.
Write answers in full sentences.
Now, we have been practicing this skill for a long, long time. Some of us can do a bit of it. Some of us really struggling with this area. And what we're going to do, like every skill, we've got to keep practicing till we get it right. Now, if our learning objective is to write answers in full sentences, what's it going to look like? If we do it right, what's our success criteria to be? What is a full sentence going to look like?
Full stops, capital letters.
Right, that's our first one. So it's going to start with a full stop. Is that right?
Yeah.
Start with a full stop?
No, isn't it?
Thank you, Matthew. Start with a capital letter.
And end with a full stop.
And end with a full stop. I want to see you talking to each other about it. Ask each other and check you've actually written and used the success criteria. Vlad, Dracula, a real... A ruler?
Ruler of a part of Romania.
Excellent. That's good.
It's put when he was born or not?
No, I would just put who he was.
Right.
Okay, that's good. I was asking him to complete a comprehension task. With emphasis was the learn objective was actually how they answer the question. So it's not just looking for the answer, but it's how they write it down, which was in a full sentence. So it's taking them through those stages step by step and breaking it down into success criteria so they knew what a question looked like when it was answered in a full sentence. 5 more minutes on this. It doesn't tell you. Now, if a word, you don't know what a word means, what you do?
Look at the dictionary.
Right, well done. 3 more minutes. This group are very slow at practicing skills and actually getting skills. We have to do a lot of repetition. Every time it's coming up that they can't do comprehension type questions, they can't answer in full sentences. So really, for today's example, Dracula was the means by which we got the skill practice. What we're going to do now is to look and see how well we've done on this learning objective.
Self-assessment then reinforces what they're learning. Faye gives them a very visual way of marking their own work.
On your piece of paper, you're showing me when you've used a capital letter and a full stop, like what we do, you know, when we're marking ourselves. So where have you used a capital letter and a full stop?
So we tick them. There's a capital
Highlight it. Stephen, just remember, you're just highlighting a capital letter and a full stop. So they're actually assessing themselves. So if the success criteria said start with a capital letter and full stop, they had to find evidence of that to show they actually had achieved that bit. Then they had to find the words that they used from the question, and then they had to basically read the question out again to themselves, and if it made sense, they then highlighted the whole answer, so they knew it's made sense. If that isn't the ultimate marking, I don't know what is. That's much better than tick and flick, as I call it. Use the words, real. It's quite a hard skill for them to use, because one, they're actually graffitiing on their perfect work. But I think the pressure and the challenge worth it. When you see Matthew saying, hey, I can do it, that's worth him being unsettled and hassled in his lesson. When he knows he's actually achieved that and he's learned and he's seen his learning during the lesson, then that's worth the pressure and the challenge.
A teacher in the past, me in the past, would have gone through a kiddie's work, marked every spelling mistake, every punctuation mark, every detail that it got wrong, and you end up with this piece of writing that's covered in red, green or blue ink, depending on what sort of teacher you are. But you've done it, and at the bottom of it you might write, well done, or think about your spellings more carefully. Well, at the end of the day, it's not going to help anybody make an improvement. Think about your spellings more carefully. But if a youngster, as he did the other day, could say, my spelling's really bad, I don't know how to spell that word, how can I do it? How can I do it? Then they get the tool. I think it's magic in that way.
Brilliant, absolutely.
The school's had just a single Pioneer GCSE to date, but 4 students have been entered for art this year, and now the whole of 9-2 are already gearing up for their GCSE. Sheila McFarlane gives them a lot of oral feedback.
I particularly like the patterns that you've put on the floor here.
They're copying work by the Impressionists. Especially in art, judgment criteria can be mysterious. Seeing the grading system helps the students move forward.
Make a decision on which materials and processes to use easily. Easy peasy, lad. The processes you've used to complete that are completely different So what you've done on that, isn't it? I'll have to use the other end of the pen. I'm going to end up drawing all over your work. This sky is wonderful. Absolutely wonderful, Sean.
I'm doing it again now.
Make images and projects similar. That means you're actually producing paintings and works that look what we want them to look like. This looks like a copy of a Van Gogh. This one you're working on now looks like a copy of a Van Gogh. This is how we assess every module so that they know what they're doing, they know what targets they've got, they know what we're aiming at next time, and they just know how they can improve. If we didn't have this, they wouldn't know how good they were. They wouldn't know how much their levels are going up.
That's the best one, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. Can we put this one in a frame? I think that is brilliant. We need this one in a frame. I like your light and dark shade. What do you like about it? Do you like that?
Orange and the blue.
That's right. You've got that change of colour, haven't you? But that adds to me, that adds to the way you've got the light coming from here. It's hit that side of the lighthouse and it's hitting that bit of the sand. I think now you're working at about a 5B. And 2 years from now, I expect to be seeing a B, at least in your GCSE. I think you're just...
What time's someone's getting in the school for GCSE?
For GCSE up to now? In the Year 11 group I've got now, we should have a couple of C's and a D and an E.
So are we getting a B?
You should be getting a B.
Is that good?
I think that is brilliant. That's going to take him. Not a word, lad.
The assessment's acting as a framework, but the lesson is all about communication.
I could have done better with the C in there because I just didn't like it very much because of the brown.
Well,
I spelled it there and that.
Well, I know you don't like it, but I do like it because to me it's got depth. It's darker, it's got depth, and then you've got the light catch on the top. No, to me, I like that. I know you're not keen, but I do like that. But remember that technique.
That relationship between the teacher and the taught, if that climate is right, then the conversation, the discourse about one's work, the pupil being able to look at their work and to give honest opinions of their work, the teacher giving opinions of the work and the pupils listening, all depends upon the honesty of that relationship.
You're telling me what you like and what you don't like and how you're going to change it. You know, that's all of this here. I mean, this is a good basis for your GCSE. I'm going to say the same to you as I said to Ross. I would be expecting you to get B's in your GCSE. If I can push you and kick you up the backside a bit more often, you might even get an A with you too. You're capable of doing it. You can do it.
I think assessment for learning is an easy thing to grasp, but a very difficult thing to put into practice in the classroom. I don't think because we've got small pupil numbers here, therefore it is easier. A mainstream school will have the pupils who've got the skills of articulating their learning much easier. But actually what you can enable them to do will be substantially the same as we're enabling the pupils to do here, which is to talk about their learning. What are they learning? How can that learning improve? And how are they going to do it? That's the same as in any other school. The fact it's a special school is actually irrelevant.